Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another awesome Thursday night. It is September 18th, 2025, 8:06 p.m. We are here to talk about some Choujin X. And I know that's new for I know that's a little bit new for the channel. We don't really talk about different series too much, but in for the stream, I thought, the best way to introduce Choujin X content would kind of just be to yap about it as much as possible and give it as much, conversation and just deliberation that it deserves. So with me today, I've got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Tiberius. And actually, hold on one second before you even start talking. Let me just get you checked in. All right, you should be good. You can go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. What's happening, everybody? How y'all holding up? No op. Thanks for having me on, as always. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. I genuinely do appreciate it big time. So I guess for to get started, I always kind of like to do like little icebreakers just to kind of get the conversation flow, and you know that nothing new. So I guess a good question, easy question to get everything started would be what is your who or I guess who is your favorite Choujin X character if you had to pick one person?
Oh man, it's there's like a long list of candidates for this, but I think Ishida does so well. I mean, I think like objectively, Batista's probably the best written character, but my favorite character, it'd probably be honestly Azuma. I hated him at first, but I really like Azuma, and I'm also a big fan of Sora, but her
Yeah.
part was limited. Azuma's got this he's really emerging as crazy potential with his character of like what he can accomplish. And I'm looking forward to see how Ishida flushes him out.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you say that because like genuinely like Azuma definitely wasn't one of my favorites. I didn't know how much he was going to come into play. Like I knew it was obvious that like of all characters he would have some kind of like the moment he got hit with the injection and then he didn't become a Trojan right away, I said, "Nah, he's going to come back in some way shape or form. There's no way he just gets off scot-free." So it was really the amount of just ways that he's played into the main story, especially with the reveal that we just recently got with the whole clone of Queen thing. Like that's just like that's just pure insanity. I just like I would have never expected anything like that, and that just adds so much. I feel like every time Ishida introduces something, like it's just like it adds so much to the story.
Oh yeah, the like Ishida feels like he's really. I mean, Tokyo Ghoul, excuse me, Tokyo Ghoul's great. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I know you just recently read it. It's been a while since I read it, but I always enjoyed clicking back into the member read, manga read throughs, and it made me realize Ashida was. It took him, the first part of Tokyo Ghoul, in my opinion, is weaker than Re.
Yeah, 100%.
But and Choujin X, the time it takes for Ishida really to I guess maybe get in that how the story get to a point where he's starting to just kind of click things together, chemistry's building.
Hmm.
That starts at chapter 18 in Choujin X. And then it's nonstop from there. You know,
100%.
it's just he's just he's on a generational run. This whole I can't remember the last time I read a chapter and just felt like it was fluff or, you know, not important or not integral. It's just Ishida's special, man. And of course the art's just great.
Literally, right? Like I completely agree where like chapter 18 is where everything just kind of picks up and you're just completely like on a just exciting roller coaster ride from then on. Like the moment that Ume shows up to like kind of like collect the beast Trojan for Batista, like it's just like that fight is insane, and then that whole dilemma. Like one thing that like I really like about Azuma is like how like and I think it kind of goes into what we were just talking about before, right? Where a lot of what has gone on in his character has been like, is he making the right choice? It's that constant flashback bringing him back to, his quote unquote dad, and he's like, hey, what's down that path? And his dad's like, sure, let's go. And like, despite the fact that it was way too long and he got, he hurt himself on his feet and blisters and everything walking down, he ended up going all the way down to the end and there was nothing down that way. And it's kind of like the whole message of like, like, and Tokyo kind of says it later in the story too, where he's like, I feel like you can always think you're making the right decision, but also you have to be able to realize when that decision you're making is just wrong, and you have to be able to abandon it at the exact same time. Like, you have to be able to make long-term decisions and also quick-term decisions. And then I think like right before Azuma like it goes chaos, like right in the last arc that we're currently in right now, um, he's like, oh well, like what's beyond like the dead end, and like I just like I love that whole messaging, like, and I think like that's not only been prevalent through Choujin X, but I feel like Azuma is like the biggest character when it comes to like that main theme that Ishida keeps bringing up, in my opinion.
Yeah, like with him, his character's like, oh, he's good at everything, right? And Tokyo's just doesn't, like doesn't have the motivation, the drive. He was like Tokyo was fine with just being like his assistant, essentially, his like his right hand man, like being the number
Hmm.
two. And I think like it's Azuma like not becoming a Chojin, and we saw him like kind of lash out a bit at Tokyo for it, you know, and I mean, obviously he was worried about Tokyo too, so it's kind of like a tough situation. But Azuma was definitely felt like he was left out once Tokyo started to kind of come onto his own. Like we know, like when Tokyo got taken by Ume, he just barged in on Ellie's phone call with Sato. You know what I mean? Like trying to offer himself up,
Hmm.
even though he's just a normal human. So it's like he just felt really like he felt really like thirsty to like want to be above Tokyo. And I think what I like most is the fact of when Tokyo hits that like when Tokyo comes back into the story after
Yeah, man.
going to that, he's like giving like basically Azuma a reality check in a sense, but letting kind of like how Chihiro and Hakuri, Chihiro brings up like, oh, equal partners. It's like more
Hmm.
like that's how kinda I got from that. It's like, they're both like kinda, Tokyo's letting them know, like, I'm not the same person I was. And,
Exactly.
Azuma also has like, growing to do, but it's very interesting to see what comes next for him because, we don't know what his like how his mental state's gonna be when he wakes up.
Literally.
I'm really anticipating that.
That's gonna be such a crazy thing. And real quick, because obviously this isn't the Azuma stream, but like there is just so
Yeah.
much to yap about. Like I love Azuma as a character, and you just brought it out of me. Like I do love like you said, that moment when they are kind of like apart, and Tokyo comes back after this short little time skip, and they have like that short meeting at the playground where they actually like throw hands and fight with one another. And I like, it's like kind of like it's not like the finish line of it, but it's also the development behind the very beginning dynamic that Tokyo and Azuma have, like when Azuma first turns into the Iron Chojin. Like you really have a whole idea of how their dynamic works, like you said, where Tokyo was completely fine being the follower, Azuma was completely fine being the one that got all the glory. That's just like who he was, that's who Tokyo was. It was completely fine. But also at the same time, you have that kind of like resentment inside of Azuma building even before they turned into a Chojin. The Chojin just made it worse because Azuma always had that kind of feeling that Tokyo was holding back the entire fucking time. Like you have that scene when they're doing the arm wrestling, and like Tokyo loses, but there's that fucking look in Azuma's eye. He's like, nah, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like you did not,
Like,
you could have tried harder for that. And I love like seeing
yes.
that come into their fist fight like later on when they're older, and like like Azuma loses that fight, and he's like, most of all, the most thing I'm fucking pissed about is that I can't beat you anymore. And it's like, it's just it's like every like it's I love the way that Ishida just introduces not introduces but integrates every character's flaw into just who they are as people. Like it just makes so much sense that Azuma would have that fucking struggle, and Azuma would have that, the quarrel with Tokyo surpassing him when Azuma was so used to being number one, and it kind of just like plays on Azuma's like subconscious thoughts the entire time that Tokyo always was number one the entire time. And also I just love that like at the end of all of that, after that huge fight, he's like, yeah, I've got feelings for Eli. And I fucking it's just like, god damn it, it's so human. I don't know, I love it.
Yeah.
And like it's just
And
great.
And like where are those feelings genuinely coming from? Like now that we know like his origin and everything, it's like so
Yeah.
like I want to see how that like that his biology is like clicking in that sense because that's something that is just like it could go so many different ways. But I think like from what we talked about, obviously this ain't the Azuma show, but I think it just like highlights Ishida's like skill of creating humans, like real people that feel like have substance and like real genuine people, but in this like dark fantasy-esque world, this like you know horrific place to live, there's still like these like just normal people. Like he's delivering like reality checks like like throughout the story to different characters, and like Ozma got his reality check, and Tokyo, like it's just amplifies Tokyo's. I feel like Tokyo is very understated in the series
Hmm.
because he's just like very laxed, kind of like his energy. You know what I mean? And it's like we wait for him to like get to that moment of clicking out and going all out. But even just as like a standard main character, Tokyo gets the job done through and through. Like some people get upset about the talk no jutsu he did on Sora, but I looked at it was he's being like real. He was just looking at it like for what it was.
Yeah.
He's like, I can accept the mark, and like and everything's gonna be all right. We can deal with that problem, but at least we know we can handle the if it arises. And
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I just think that this series it shocks me. It's gonna be like it just doesn't get the appreciation or like the widespread love that it deserves because this is I think this series is really special, man.
I completely agree. You're so right. I don't think it gets enough attention either. Because like to be completely honest with you, like just to just kind of finish off this point, like Tokyo, like I honestly I don't mind his talk no jutsu either because one thing that I also love about Tokyo Ghoul, not Tokyo Ghoul, what the fuck? One thing that I also love about Choujin X is like how each main character of the trio like kind of represents like their own thing. Like Azuma has he is the do and ask questions later. And Eli is also like at the same time, like she is someone that wears her heart on her sleeve and she's not afraid to speak and she doesn't really have a filter. Like Azuma kind of represents almost like order in a sense, like just not chaotic good, but like kind of what's the other side of chaotic good? I don't know.
Lawful.
Lawful good, exactly, lawful good. And I feel like Eli at the same time is like kind of right in the middle where she like I love when their first meeting with Zora and Azuma's like, okay, like this kind of makes sense, and Tokyo's like, I think I need to think about it more, and Eli at the same time is like, no, this all sounds nonsense, screw all this, like
That's a good point.
and they all like kind of maintain those differences in their character throughout the entire story. Like even in this most recent fight, when Tokyo says that he wants to talk to Batista, and Eli's like, "Dude, are you stupid?" She's like,
Yeah,
absolutely not." And also, I love how like it shows like how every character also has their decisions informed from how their lives are. Like Eli specifically in her mind is like, Tokyo, you obviously wouldn't understand that because her and Azuma are a thing, and she doesn't even know if Azuma is alive right now or not. She, for all she knows, Azuma could be dead because of Batista. So like, she's like, of course you can say that, Tokyo. Like, you don't care who you talk to or whatever because you don't have people that you love that were killed by Batista. Fuck Batista is
true.
what she's all
Yeah,
about, you
like
know?
yeah, he didn't take enough away from you to like drive that want to see him gone without questions. But like, there's a lot of people that he did push far enough or took enough away from them to like warrant that kind of like retaliation. And
Hmm.
I'll say this last thing about Ellie. I think she's like the voice of the reader. I think she's like the reader's conscience, like
100%.
personified in a story. She just outright says things that we're all thinking like, oh, that's got to be bullshit. And then she'll come out and just say something. She's like, no, that's garbage.
I
Like,
find her
you
very
know,
often when she says shit like that, she's literally like, I'm thinking the exact same thing the moment I turn the page and she says it. And I'm like, oh my God. like
I
verbatim.
think
It's crazy.
Ishida's smart because, like, you brought up, and I never really thought about, like, these are like three sides of like the moral conundrum. They're each gonna do something very different about the trolley problem. You know,
Hmm. Literally.
and I really like. I think this is one of the more enjoyable like trios in a shonen that think that like just like through and through have no issues with.
It's
Like
one of
I
my favorites.
literally
One of my favorites for
I
sure.
can't find fault, to like, now I don't love everything they do or decisions Ishida chooses for him, but like when you view like Choujin X, like, well, at this up to this point, like holistically, you just get like a story that's just like full of substance. Like there's just every character has their thing. Like Sato is like this big question mark, and
Don't even get me
you know
started, bro.
but yeah, I mean, like this new chapter though, we see like the conclusion of, me and you both worried about like how Ishida was gonna land this plane, this battle. And I want to ask you, so like now that we see, or I mean, we don't really know exactly if it's over yet, but at this point, for what just happened in the latest chapter, how are you liking the development or the conclusion, if that's what it is?
I genuinely, I'm trying to get the chapter so I can get a picture on screen right now. Genuinely, like, I think this is a good conclusion. I mean, when it comes to like big final all out battles like this, like, I feel like there's always gonna be things that like could have been done differently, or could have been improved upon, or could have had more focus. I feel like you're never gonna satisfy anyone with like big all out battles like this. It's just something that I feel like is just the just a part of
Espe-
storytelling, honestly.
Especially with timelines too, when we have like or like time travel in a sense. That's such a hard like concept to
Yeah,
really like nail out and have it like conclude in a way where you have no issues. But like I think the whole thing was like Batista still shines through all of that because he showed you like he truly just wanted to be with Harley, and he meant that. He went in that little cage that he was okay with, that existence, that fake existence, and he didn't go back in time to be stronger or anything. He accepted a normal life as a mailman just with to enjoy his wife and their kid.
it's
Like
crazy.
it's very very like it just like, because I got a kid, and like when I see things like that, man, it's like those characters just like some Samura and Kagurabachi, like these characters with like parent child dynamics, and that's Batista isn't really a parent child dynamic, but just seeing like him going like back to or Ellie taking him to go see the real Harley in the past instead of this like fabricated version of her. Like,
And he
man,
has the
that
and he
really
has the
hit deep.
chance to change everything in that moment, and he still chooses not to.
Yeah,
Crazy.
bro, every time I read that, he says, out of all the days I met you, you look the most beautiful today. And like that's it. And like, man, like this dude, like Ishida was like cooking. I don't know what that dude was on, man. Like, cause he feels like Furuta is like a great villain. He's like very comes out of nowhere in a sense in the story, but he makes like a bang, and he just like leaves a strong impression on the series, or like from my memory of it. And then with like Batista, it's just like a longer, like steadier version of Furuta.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Furuta definitely because if you've been with me for the Tokyo Ghoul read through, you'll know that Furuta kind of got on my nerves as just like as his character. But I feel like something that you mentioned that I'm gonna agree with you on completely is at the very end of Tokyo Ghoul, when we kind of get that final battle between Furuta and Kaneki, and Furuta has that moment where he's like, would you think it's funny, if all I wanted was just a normal life? And you get that moment of he's like, I want everything. What more could I not have? And it's just like that quick flash of like him like having a wife and child before he gets cut down. Like, I think you're so right, because in that moment, that's kind of what awakened Furuta for me as like a decent character, and it awakened appreciation. So now being able to like see what that kind of motivation, and I like that kind of opened the door for me to like Furuta to kind of get fully realized in this character. I mean, you and me have talked about this before. Like, I love Batista. I think, like, I honestly, whether he lives or dies after this, I honestly, I don't want him to play a part in the story anymore because I feel like he's just so just complete as a character. I really don't think there's anything left for him to do at this point because he's just like a full 10 out of 10 for me. I honestly believe it. Like, it's honestly
Yeah,
insane to me the
safe,
way that
yeah.
they were able to like just cap Batista off, and he still kind of played a big part at the end by he stopped the reconnaissance, the New A's final reconnaissance at the end before he could reset the timeline one more time. So like, I honestly, I'm happy with the way that Batista's character ended. I honestly, I don't want to see him come back again. I personally, with what is going to come after this, if the New A is defeated, I would prefer the New A to be defeated. Honestly, I don't know about you, but I feel like after this,
Yeah.
like, I don't really want the New A to be around anymore. I feel like this whole arc has served its purpose, and now what I want to see is I want to move on into. I don't know how you feel, but I
Shit.
feel like after this, we're pretty much moving into who's going to be the main villain, whether it's Sato or the one of the trio that ends up getting the mark and ending up being the Calamity. Because I don't know if this was the Calamity.
Yeah, I think what we're headed to is Choujin X Re. Honestly, that's the kind of feeling it gave me. Like this is like the closing of a huge part of the story, and I'm with you. Whatever happens to Batista, I don't really want him. Like if he's maybe like just kind of a ancillary character, like we just see every now and then, but he doesn't have like no involvement in what's going on. But maybe he gives even given information I'd be okay with, but I don't want him to actually be like no powers. I don't want to like I just want his character to really like wrap up here because I love the delivery of it. Like you said. Um, and I also hope the new A doesn't come back because I forget what Sandek calls one of the abominations or something like that.
Yeah,
A-
exactly. It's one
And
of
I
the
don't,
abominations.
yeah, I don't
Very
know if we're
choice
gonna get any
words.
more, or maybe the knight, the Black Knight that fought Batista and the chick, the crazy chick.
Yeah,
I forget the
Nightbottom is his name. He's got to
yeah,
be somewhat.
Nightbottom.
He's got because he's such a random character that shows up out of nowhere. His sole purpose is just to defend the mark of the beast to make sure it gets transferred to the right person, and we have no idea who he even is as a character. He's what a random character. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, keep talking. I didn't mean to
Oh no,
interrupt.
you're shout out to Loud.
Hey, Loud with the gifted members, my guy. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love, Loud. Always happy to see you in chat. We miss you over here. Yeah, you definitely got to get out of here before
Yeah.
you catch spoilers. This is big time. But I appreciate the love.
The and like I seen someone ask, "Are we nearing the end of Choujin X?" I don't think we're anywhere near the end because
Nah,
like Sato's a huge like gonna be a huge component. Excuse me, I don't know. My dog's going crazy.
you're all good. You're all good.
Um, but no, the Sato's like gonna be a huge like player going forward, whatever
Oh
that is.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I did see someone else in the chat bring up like they didn't like the chaosification. Then the previous two times that Tokyo like went through it, like was like gas. But I think the big thing with like Tokyo and like going chaos mode was like it's weird to me. All right, so Nari, remember he right before they went into the tower, Tokyo, they Azuma was asking them what was like the most terrifying night for them, or what was their most terrifying moment. And they were like, it's not when they were in Sora when they first met Sora. Tokyo says when he first the night with Nari, the
Yeah.
very next
The
chapter,
test.
yep, in the very next chapter, Sato goes and that's when he has that moment with Nari. And he even says, I have an aversion to Beast, right?
Oh, that's so
So
weird.
the very next chapter, right after Tokyo's just saying that was the most terrifying moment, So then we get like now Sato did come in huge like with training Tokyo, and like I'm worried that he might have like implanted something into Tokyo's brain or something like that, man. But I really like this Tokyo chaos, going into his like chaos state here. And that moment where he like kind of like breaks off like the mask to like scream out Sandek's name so he could finish it. I was like, oh man, I was like so hyped for that. Cause like him, like Tokyo's like really like in control to a certain extent, it's not like he just lost himself.
I mean, it shows how far for me, it shows how far that Tokyo really has come, and it shows how much that Sato really has trained him. Because I guess like that is why I love that we really didn't see anything at all of like what Tokyo and Sato did when they went off and trained. We got like small little glimpses and hints of it, because not only does it lead for awesome moments like this, it raises so many questions as to what is Sato's ultimate goal in regards to training Tokyo and making Tokyo the, as he put it, like, the next Sandek. Like, it's so curious to me because you think you got him pinned for a moment when he is like kind of talking to Tokyo. I forget, they're at someone's grave. I don't remember. It's right before the massive battle starts, and he's kind of like playing devil's advocate with Tokyo, but he's kind of doing it
Hmm.
purposely. In a sense, he's like, oh well, if you can't,
Take the mark.
yeah, if you take the mark, you'll get ultimate power, and you'll be able to make people listen to you. You don't have to just keep talk no jutsuing. You can just force people to do it. And Tokyo's like, we'll see. And he's like, I'm not getting anywhere with this. And it's like, oh shit, like maybe he's a double agent. Like that was always my thought process. I always thought he was a double agent for Zora and he was just playing both sides. But like as you were kind of getting to, like it does almost seem like at this point, especially with Zora being dead, and Zora also before the New A even interfered was pretty much down to handle things peacefully after talking with Tokyo. It almost seems as if Sato is playing a third faction, or whether he's his own boss or he's working for some other person that we just don't know. I think there is so much that has obviously, Ishida wants us to find Sato as sus. I feel like Ishida has gone out of his
Yeah.
way multiple times to make Sato seem sus, from just, him leaving the training island and then showing up almost immediately right when he needs to be shown up, and everyone gives him the side eye when he's like, what did you even come back for? Like that was real
I'm
convenient.
I'm thinking, dude, he could pull some like eyes in type shit. Um, you know, and because what like we know his ability. What if like he can, even like compel Mado? Like, what if, he's been like if she's the one giving these like, these futures
True.
out, if he's the one that's kind of like finessing that to like move the pieces on the board by like having their seer, who could see like these like glimpses of the future, who hasn't been wrong before, so people trust her already. He is the easiest person to kind of have like a shortcut like in that way
Not
because
to
we
cut
know
you
that he.
off, I have a question for you, and I just
Oh,
because
what's
this
up?
goes into everything. This is kind of off the wall, but this has been the new theory I've been kind of working with. Do you think that Sato is also a Queen clone?
Ooh, I haven't even considered that.
And
Queen
he's kind
clone.
of working towards like whatever Queem's goal is, because it's interesting that I always one thing that I thought was super keen that I paid attention to was when Ozma was in like that mental world and he was talking to the fucking manifestation of whatever was like explaining the deal to him. And Ozma asked the question, he goes, well, if I'm the vessel, where's
The
the
soul.
soul? And like he's like, oh, I don't know, the soul could be out there amongst you, I would have no idea, I'm just here for this. So it made me start questioning, if that is the case, who is the soul of Queen, right? Like if there's
Yeah.
always vessels, who is the person that's supposedly running around that is actually the other side of Queen? Like, maybe we haven't met them yet, or maybe we have, but I've always like I said, it would be very weird to me Unless we do get like a Choujin X re situation and we do take like a another brief hiatus and we get like a longer time skip and things develop off screen that we kind of have and we kind of pinpoint. But as far as it goes, it would be really weird, in my opinion, for like Sato to be his own random personal faction. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it would have to tie
Yeah.
into something, but again, I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, like I think yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. I could see him being attached to it. Um, like the thing that Azuma like that is in that area with the chains and that little island where Azuma is like awakens at when he chaosifies. You know, like at first I was like, man, it's like he's got a like the noose, kind of like Batista. Batista always had like that rope,
Mhm.
like permanently on him. And at first, like there's it was an earlier chapter, and I never really like thought, maybe somehow, somehow Sato is connected to this, because there's something like Queen, because Queen didn't just come out to be like the strongest Trojan. He started off as like a general and
Mhm.
like used influence to like move his way up. Sato's got a whole army of the sword Trojan. Like the sword Trojan seem like they just down to like do what he says. Like, and the thing that scares me the most about Sato is when Hume, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but when he's the girl that gets cut up by Nightbottom, she goes back and he's at her like apartment or whatever. He gets like a random vision, and it seemed like maybe it's playing off as like a dream or something. But I'm wondering like if Sora, like still connected to him. He doesn't have his powers no more, but she's still connected to him by blood.
Mhm.
She like implanted one of her visions into him,
Oh,
and
I
it's
know what you're
the
talking
that
about. Yes.
spread of the sword
Mhm.
Trojan at the top and the plane,
Yep.
and he's the one in control of the sword Trojan, and it's just he has like I can definitely see like him like playing a part because of Queen's whole thing. He created all these like weapons and he has had a damn spaceship, like with arms, but it seems like Sato, like you bringing up him being the soul of Queen, it could pair really nicely. Him, because it's the three Choujin X that they mentioned, Sora, Queen, and Bill Norse or whatever his name is, the immortal one.
Mhm.
Like it's a lot of the lore is like connected to those three,
Yeah,
and of
100%.
course the war. So like, I do feel like wherever it's headed towards, like he if he is like, the soul, I feel like it only makes sense for him not to be like some random third faction, like more so tied to the past. Cause, at least tied to the past of, being the thief and her mom and all that. And of course we know like Tokyo's tied and where Zuma's tied, but so I definitely that's interesting. Yeah, him being the soul of Queen, I think that could work out. I could see it happening.
Yeah, and I think you had an amazing theory too when it came to like, could he have something to do with the nightmares that Mato has been having, right? Like, I feel like that's because I've always thought it's interesting when he's kind of training. Like, also one thing to note too, since we're talking about the whole Queen thing, as well, is Sato is the one that opts to train Azuma when they first get on the island, and when he's like, well, everyone's like, well, why would you train Azuma? He's like, oh, well, you know what, it's easier for me because I'm no one else has an ability like mine. And like, it's weird that he says that, because it's like, yeah, you are the only person that has like the mental imagery, but also it's like, what does that have to do with training Azuma? I don't know. I might have
Yeah,
to reread that
true.
moment, but like, like that was just something that just popped in my head as I was kind of talking. I'm like, that's
My
interesting.
bad.
No, go ahead.
Before I forget, I wanted to get your opinion on this. So, if he is Queen's soul, right? We know that Sato himself tells Nari like he has like all this like brutal imagery. He sees, he witnesses like horrible things, so he can like replicate it and make it feel realistic to use his power stronger, right?
Mhm.
So Queen being who he was in the past, we know he's done some like horrible things, and just from like what we know of lore, if that's how he really was, which it does seem to be the case. If he like has memories of Queen, or like he's like still like knows everything, wouldn't it make sense for him to like get in good with the seer of Yamato Mori, which the original seer, or that person that created the first Sora, she was the seer Yamato Mori. She defeated Queen. So now his new plan is, oh well, now I can just go manipulate the seer
Yep.
and just discredit her, or just get her to a point where I can take care of her when I need to. And then now, he feel like he'd be unstoppable. Then he just has to get Ozma's body.
Yeah, literally. It seems like you've made me question that a lot, because one thing that I immediately thought of when I first saw Sato, that made me not trust him, was the fact that he's the one that's responsible for distributing all of the history of everything to all of the, the Choujin Yamato Mori recruits as they go through, right? Like, I've always thought that was
Mm.
weird, because like, say what you will, they do have motto to confirm that, but and say what you but how why are we trusting his interpretation of events? How do we know that he's always sharing the correct interpretation of events? It
Yeah, how do we know
always.
Sora was really that evil?
Yeah.
They're so, I mean, now to this point, we do know that Sora did, some messed up stuff. Like, true. And I'm not saying, she's not like bad or anything, but in the sense of the original Yamato Mori, they might have pushed her to a point where she felt like that was her only answer, not saying it's right, but you know what I mean? Like, they could have like, what if Motto just isn't as like this grand seer that people trust her to be? And if he's the one spreading this knowledge, and she's like the ultimate, like, this is the person, this is like our conscience of like the organization, this is our leader. So like it would play really easy for him to like kind of finesse everything, considering what his ability is and where he's positioned at, because even Sandek fully trusts him.
Hmm.
You and it's we know Sandek is just, he just kind of seems like the type of guy that puts his head down and does what he's kind of told. It seems like, like, I mean, he does regret that now, and maybe we'll see a change from him to start questioning things, because like the resolution with Batista. I don't know, but like you got me thinking now about him being like the soul of Queen.
Yeah, I gotta start rereading, because one thing that I've always found that's interesting too, right, is like sometimes like when Sato does have like his pull up moments, it's always like either introduced or followed by like a very like vague but like also very like just like interesting one liner. Like, I always think back to the moment when he does show up on the island, and they're fighting the death growl Choujin dude, right? And like he's
Mm.
like, oh, like, all right, like, I like, we got what we needed, I can leave, but why don't I stop? Why would I stop? The only person that can stop me right now is God themselves. And then the moment he says that is when Sato strikes and fucks him up. So it's just like one of those interesting Ishida, one of those interesting Ishida moments that I'm like, what are you
He's
trying to
laying it on
say here?
thick.
like,
Yeah,
what are you trying
it
to
seems like he's
say?
like, this might be the biggest red herring in like recent manga, or like he, because there is a lot of sus moments with him where you're just like, dude, this is totally a villain thing. Like
Hmm.
he's got the energy. He even like plays into it sometimes. You know what I mean? But I gotta say though, like I usually don't really like care for characters like that. Like the build up, if I feel it, kind of like, oh, usually it's either like it's a misdirection or something, or it's either like some creators, they just kind of don't know how to like nuance it a bit to where it's just too like obvious that, oh, they don't have no other plans but for this person to be a villain. But Ishida, like it, like the fact that we just got through this like major hurdle, you know, we like we read the series, we don't know what exactly direction the story could go. It's impossible to like really think about, or they like guess. And I think that's what I appreciate the most about it. It's kind of like every chapter just feels like super fresh.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't been excited to like I literally was, like, updating the Manga Plus app, waiting for this thing to drop, and I haven't been like that with a series in a while. You know,
No, I
it's
completely
crazy.
agree, man. I completely agree because like now with the death of Zora and like supposedly the end of Nue and Batista's whole thing, like kind of like getting into it like with like the whatever does happen next, it's very the only thing that we do have is the the dream that Tokyo and Azuma have had of like the destroyed Yamato Mori, and then they're both standing in front of each other, and Azuma is telling Tokyo that it's his all his fault. And like from that moment on, I have been like just watching and just on the edge of my seat for every single chapter that we've gotten because I'm constantly like, all right, this is it. This is when this person becomes the calamity, and then they're gonna. This is how it's all Tokyo's fault. I must have had that moment like 3 or 4 different times now in this final battle alone. Like with Eli being the first person to take the mark, I'm like, all right, Azuma's gonna be upset that Eli died or something, and that's why it's all Tokyo's fault. But now it's like but that's not what happened. And just like there's been multiple other moments in that where like now like you said, it's so unpredictable where it's like there's like 18 different pathways that can all lead us to that scene happening. And I think that is like it's just what evidence of how well Ishida has crafted, this narrative. Because like if you look at something like not to shit on it, but if you look at something like Boruto, who is like kind of not doing the exact same thing, but like, hey, this is the future scene that we need to get to, and how is all of the story going to get us to that point? Like, like I feel like there's so many different ways this future can be gotten to than the other future, right? Like I just feel like the way that Ishida has crafted this, it literally could go either way. Is it because Tokyo takes the mark? Is it because Tokyo doesn't take the mark and Eli now takes the mark? Is it because Azuma found a way to take the mark? Does it have nothing to do with the mark at all? Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I mean,
is the calamity something completely different? Yeah.
we also get that like that that vision of or the prophecy that Sora had, and it's like got the plane crash on like the palm of the hand, which I think that's like very telling for Sato as well, because we know he like starts his ability by like putting his hand out. Like that's like he kind of like starts his like you know mental imagery. And so like the plane being in the hand, we see like Sora's mark, but there's like a reflection on it. It just kind of like seeing stuff like that just makes me wonder, you know, does that play into, is that more of just like a Sato thing? Like where like Ishida is like doing this like, almost making it obvious that Sato is sus, and he still could be, maybe he isn't. But I'm wondering, like, that's why I think like Azuma's like when he wakes up, I think that's why I'm looking forward to the most is seeing like is Sato going to be there when he wakes up? You know what I mean? Like, is where does he have? Because I think like with your theory about him being the soul, and we know he's the vessel, it's got to get like that's got to like kind of that ball should get rolling soon. If that is
100%.
the case.
It has to. It has to, without a doubt. It has to, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I've got that double spread pulled up of Zora's Zora's vision, and yeah, dude, it's so like Eli is
Dude,
obviously the smoke. Ellie's obvious, or Eli or Ellie obviously the smoke. You've got the plane, which is like I think the hand and Zora, because like the hand is lifting the plane up that creates the smoke, which is obviously the fact that Zora created all of these Choujin that are going to be involved in this. It's dude, I love the way that it does this because it really, I don't know, man. I love the way that there's just I can't I don't know how to talk without repeating myself. It's fucking insane.
no, I get what you mean though, because like it's it's almost like it's like hard to like quantify exactly what like I want to happen, right? Because there's a bunch of different directions the story could go. It like it could play into just like like a cycle of the past. And it's just history repeating itself.
Hmm.
But now like Queen has gotten into like the other side and he's coming at it from a different angle, still starting off as like a general per se, but now he's finessing his way like through the right channels to where he can't be stopped.
Yeah.
And it is, same with like Tokyo, because technically Zora didn't really pass on the mark to Tokyo, but with her throwing the harp to him, and that didn't disappear when she died. Like her feathers, it shows like him catching one of her
Yep.
feathers, and then
Which
it
is also
disappears.
interesting too, right? Because you would think that if that was technically speaking, Tokyo should have died. Technically
Yeah.
speaking, right?
So and we know Ellie did steal the mark from Batista. But then, after she used it to bring, like, Tokyo and Sandek and all them back, she lost it went back to, Nue or whatever. I
Hmm.
can't remember exactly how that played out, but I'm pretty sure it was
I
just like that,
think
like,
they
the next page.
split it. I don't. Yeah. I think that's. Maybe I misunderstood that, or it seems unclear. It seems
Yeah, because
because I was under the impression that like they split the mark technically, like like Ellie Eli, she still has some of the mark, but she just didn't steal all of it. She wasn't able to take, like, when she like almost like when she took like 30% of Chandra Hume's powers the first time, and then she didn't
Mhm.
take everything until the I could be wrong, but I think with her using reconnaissance after they split, the after Nue still had the mark, I don't know. I think it's to be implied that they kind of are splitting it partially. I don't know.
And we know she has, like, a strong, like, moral code, like so with, say if she does decide to keep it herself, you know, I believe, like, Tokyo would be fine with that, and I believe Sandic would be fine with that, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I feel like they would trust her enough to, like, for now, we're cool and she can keep it, because we know that she can't pass it on to Tokyo if ever need be.
And that was even her goal
Yeah,
originally, right? Because that's what she tells
yeah.
Tokyo she wants to do. She's like, I'm gonna take it so that way you guys don't have to deal with it.
Oh, see, look, I went back, it was, like, chapter 66.3. Uh, she says, "The mark, she says, "The mark, it's," and then, it goes back to Nui, and he says, "It has returned."
Okay. Weird.
But we also know that it isn't that simple though. That's not like just, you know, like that's not just like a one of the tattoos you get like an old bubble gum things where he
Yeah.
wipes off, you
I
know what I
always
mean?
thought it.
It's like
I did always think it was interesting that clearly both Batista and Nue were like very cautious of Eli's what is it, disruptor? I don't remember exactly what they call it, or is it I know it's the thief
I can't
Choujin.
remember.
I don't remember exactly what they refer to it as, but it's yeah, her thief ability. Because even when Batista first meets Eli, he's like, "Oh, great, let me steal." Actually, you know what? Never mind. Not even gonna take that
Yeah,
chance.
I do like that the power system is set up in a way that, aside like Choujin X, that's like the Gojo and Sukuna, right? They would like we know not to like really include them in anything because they're obviously broken as hell.
Hmm.
But that being the case still, like these Trojan abilities like still function on those like people. It's just it's a way harder time to even get to them. But like once she got there to the point where close enough to start her ability, it's not like where Ryatsu where you could just flex out of like abilities. You know, we see with Sora, she summons those crazy things that make the Nue have to skip like 1,000 turns or some shit like that, like a
Yeah.
thousand movements ahead, which is crazy. That's such like a pretty dope ability, a way to kind of like no in normal cases, but is really cool that like talking about these Trojan abilities, that brain that we see Batista use against Sora's like little minions when he first goes to fight her, he
Yep.
just throws that sword and lets the brain control the sword while he fights Sora. That's such a fire way to show like multiple like a person who can copy abilities essentially, and and like use it in like a fresh unique way. It isn't just like, oh, I have this ability. He's like, no, I took the brain of this dude that can like basically run a these actions on like autopilot while I do something else. I think that's what's most like makes this thing like these fights fun.
Hmm.
It's Ishida gave himself a power system to like really kind of like almost like JoJo's in a sense where you could take like maybe a simple ability, but just like extrapolate it to its this, crazy concept.
Yeah, it's like you take like there could be like for there's not really like I mean there are to some extent, but it's like if you have like three ice users, like all three of those ice users are going to be different because they're going to visualize that ability completely different. You know, it's kind
Yeah,
of
and
like
like
that.
who you are as a person, and it plays into like the character writing and I think like Batista, I was worried about like what happens when Batista does achieve his goal. And I think it's almost like it's not in a power sense, but in a just a normal character writing sense. He like his I really like got a newfound appreciation for him when he was just a regular human delivering the mail in this like fake world.
Dead ass. One of my favorite moments is like when he goes back to the dream world the first time and he's like, "Oh shit." And he starts to run and he's like, "Wait, why the fuck am I running? I can fly." It's just like so much of like
Yeah.
a it's like you said it's just so much of like a like for the one of the biggest evils in the entire story is like in that short little scene like you really do see him as so much of a fucking human. And I've talked to you about this before how like you see small little details of that throughout the story as well, how like literally every single person that ever deals with Batista is like, yeah, he's a chill guy. And like, I don't remember who it is in the moment when someone says that, they're like, huh? The new A mask?
Yeah, dude. Like, think about the like when Vlad went to go press him before the like they stormed the tower. They were just like, "Yo, this is our fight. You don't really have to get caught up in this." Like, what?
Yes,
Like,
yes, all the
this dude's
homies.
the worst one.
Literally all the well, Vlad was a douchebag. He was like, I love that moment too when Vlad like knocks over his shit. He's like, "What's going on?" Batista. He goes, "Oh, well, you know,
Hey,
I'm doing this
nerd.
with my research." And he's like, "No, fuck your research." He goes, "I'm talking about this shit." He goes, "Oh, Vlad, this won't do." And I do like
He,
and I love that like
yeah, it's,
I'm curious to see who would have like actually won that fight because he fully intended he thought Vlad was gonna be protecting Zora when he goes to go make his move. So like I'm really interested like who would have actually won that because we see Vlad is a fucking boss. So like
yeah, that I already read that fight earlier today, and I was like, man, this dude Vlad was just like his ability, right? Just like to basically bring himself back. He's like a three-stage boss fight that can bring himself back just by having blood on the field. Like what? It's
crazy, dude. It's like how do you
he's
beat this
definitely
guy?
cool. And his design was like when you see him, like I knew he was gonna obviously everyone has like their chaos state or whatever. But man, I did not, it was like it was edgy for the edgy, but the whole thing is like he is meant to like depict the horror of war.
Yeah.
And the fact of like him, like when Azuma first starts kind of like, gearing up to fight him for real, he instantly goes into his war form because he's like, oh yeah, by your heart beating, it's giving me a feeling I haven't felt in quite a long time. Like he's thinking of like when they fought Queen and yeah, nostalgia. Like you just pulled up for whatever reason, I find it nostalgic. Like that was so cool, and that just kind of plays in like just how badass Queen was. And I mean, Queen's vessel dicked him again, but
True. I didn't even think about
uh,
that. That's sad, man. Sad.
it's and these are people that are just following the person they devoted loyalty to. Like they said they're down for Sora and they meant it. They followed her through and through.
Hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong, it got to a dark, it got to like a dark top place for them. But I mean, we do see when you just boil it down to like the inner dynamic and relationships, like these are people who truly just like admired her and like looked up to her, for saving them from Queen, for being the leader, the hero. And now for her to like achieve like how she answers Tokyo's questions. Tokyo's like, I got these questions. She answered them with pure resolve, no like hesitation. She was just like, this is what I believe in. And it felt like, oh, she hasn't lost her mind.
Yeah.
Like she's just doing like kind of what Batista said, for whatever for what it's worth, I still don't, I still don't regret my choices or whatever. It's like they did, for
They
whatever
did
it
what they
may
thought
be.
was right.
Yeah. And it's like really unique because these are like the people we see that say this are like villains that like are responsible for tons of death.
Yeah.
And, but like the thing is, let's be real, Batista got the shit end of the stick. Like that poor bastard. I mean,
Bro, yeah, he
you,
got
you
that
know,
was fucked up, dude. Bro couldn't win it all. Bro literally
he
like come
he
on.
tried to end it himself before he got, like die the hero, live long enough to become the villain.
Yep.
Like he tried to end it himself, and that even that is taken from him. That choice, he can't even have that. It's despair, man. It's heavy, and we know that he just did what he felt was right, and he had to be stopped, and they did. But his like conclusion and if he is dead, I think the Night Bottom, I think he even says something about, or yeah, I think he says something about resting in like the ruins of the tower. During that discussion, someone says something like that. And like now he's kind of like resting in the ruins of the tower. And you know, I just think it would be a beautiful death if he's gone here.
I
Like
think
his
so too.
character's, but like the fight. I want to ask you, like, how this whole like confrontation with the New A after he took over, Batista. Well, like, would you, did you have any issues with it? I mean, it's kind of jarring in a sense because it's like this ultimate power, while we also have Sora, who is on her last leg, but she's, you know, still has some power, and Sandek's like a boss. I don't know. At first, it was kind of jarring to me. I had to reread the fight like literally 2 or 3 times because I just wasn't confident in like if I was really getting what Ishida was conveying.
I definitely I thought it was weird at first, I won't lie to you. But I thought I thought the rewriting time and giving Batista as much power as they did was more weird to me. The New A being like the big bad and like just abusing Batista to become Choujin X itself. I guess that kind of didn't really surprise me. I feel like that kind of made narrative sense for me. Um, I was okay with it. I was okay. Honestly, I feel like you want to know why I was okay with it? Because Batista's end goal didn't put him in a position where he would have been the final big bad to fight anyway, right? Like Batista's main goal was done the moment he got the world that he wanted. It makes sense that the
I
person that
agree.
they would have to fight would have to be the New A who was just taking advantage of that dream in the first place. Because like you even said, even after Eli or Eli Ellie, I'm gonna pronounce it Eli. That's what I think, but I could be wrong.
Hey, I could be wrong too. No worries, bro.
But she even says as much. Or wait, what am I? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, he even says as much to her. Like he goes, "Look, I don't care if this is a dream. I'll fucking stay here forever. This is fine." And then of course, after he really thinks about it, he goes, "You really aren't, Hartley," and has that change of heart. But yeah, I think New A taking advantage of that and Batista being more than willing to stay in the dream, like I feel like that makes sense. And also, the New A at the end of the day was like the main goal too, because it gives Sandek closure too, right? Because he feels like if he would have been a little bit better at destroying the New A in the first place, none of this would have ever happened to begin with. Batista would have been able
Yeah.
to or maybe seen another way besides going that route. So
And it shows like Batista was also fighting, fighting from within, he didn't just like Batista chose to like help put an end to
yeah,
the New A.
it gives an
It's like
opportunity for
he
everyone to play a part in the final victory
it's not
somewhat.
redeem, it doesn't redeem him as a person, but it redeems him to Sandek,
Yep.
like and that's gonna be enough, like, and for me, I think that in the beginning, my issue, not even an issue really, it's more so like just a personal, like I personally, it was like the choreography of like the fights, I should say. like how like the reconsist with the pillars turning the guy into
When
a
it first
baby.
starts,
It was
it's
a
weird in
lot.
my
It was like a
opinion. Yeah, when it
yeah,
first
that
starts and
was
Batista first takes on like the triple new A mask form, and he's like floating, and like you said, he's rearranging the world, and he's just no diffing everyone basically. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That's a little jarring at first when it first happens.
yeah.
You're like, whoa.
And when I mean, you just kind of take it to like it's almost it's basically she is saying this is what Choujin X fights look like. This is what like when someone's a Choujin X. This is like the craziness of it. It's
Hmm.
like imagine like Queen in his prime versus Sora in her prime. Can you imagine how insane that fight must have been?
Good
Like,
lord.
it's and maybe that's where we're headed. Where Azuma and Tokyo is gonna basically become the Sora versus Queen,
That's
and
basically
and
what it's
that's
looking like. Yeah, it's basically what it is. Tokyo seems to be the new representative for Zora, and obviously against his will, whether he likes it or not. Asuma's got his role to play.
and there's a lot in between, like for there that can be the end, but still go many different avenues. That's what I like. Like even if it's like an obvious like say the chapter one started with like some how Deku says, "This is my story about how I became the number one hero," or whatever he says in the beginning of My Hero. Like if she'd have started chapter one was like, "Yeah, this is how I had to fight my best friend to the death." At this, even if he said that at this point where we're at, we still would not know how we're getting there.
Yeah,
We like see the pieces, but we don't know like how we're gonna get this all connected. And we know one thing Ishida is good about is like wrapping up these like character dynamics. Like he can like when a character's time is up, whatever they have like hanging out there for like a story is usually getting like, you know, wrapped up within that same time frame. Like he's good about like making people's basically just giving characters good send-offs.
yeah.
And sometimes he even elevates characters on their send-off. Like and I think that's what, I'm like it just kind of rings true, like just talking about Ishida's skill and like feel like he has elevated since Tokyo Ghoul.
100%, brother. 100%.
Because
Do you
like,
go ahead?
do you think like obviously Choujin X is still not completed,
Yeah.
but would you say you enjoy Choujin X? In a would you say you enjoy it more to like say at the point of when restarted? Like you prefer this Choujin X over part one of Tokyo Ghoul, I'd imagine.
110%.
Okay, I'm not gonna ask you about Tokyo Ghoul Re because that's kind of unfair to look at something like that like holistically with everything. But
I would
I
say
mean,
right now
I
I'm enjoying my time more to be completely honest with you, even just right now.
yeah, I feel that same way. I think it's just more like he has learned like his choreography still isn't like the best, but it has gotten better. You know, um,
I love
and
his choreography, man. I like for me, like it sometimes it does. I will say his choreography sometimes it does take a second or third read through of the fight to like fully understand. But for me, it's one of those things where it's like once I do crack that choreography code, I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy that he just fucking drew that. It's one of I definitely understand what you mean though. I definitely
yeah,
understand what you. Sometimes it's a little hard. It does. It's not like instant flow like other panelers like that are really really good at it, where you're just instantly flowing through panels and pages because it's so smooth. It definitely, like I said, you might have to stop and be like, wait, what did you just do?
and but everything else that Choujin X has to offer, like Tokyo Ghoul, his choreography was rough.
Yeah,
But the thing is, like, he's like still gotten better at that to a point where it's good. It's not like it's bad. Like you said, some fights are, and because sometimes the way the powers function, it's just you should maybe go back and read some of the fights twice just to make sure because there's a lot going on. But he's giving you like so much in this series. The characters are likable. The story has like really really cool lore. The dynamics between the characters and relationships are all interesting. Like we really like care about what's going on with Hume. You know what I mean? Like seeing him like
Yeah.
in that jar, like it was like at first you're like, but then you kind of get invested because they're just you know likable. Like he's just good about like creating these characters, man, and having them like their relationships kind of resonate, even you know as shallow as some may be. We like it comes through to the reader. That's the point. Not every relationship or character is supposed to be big or play an important role, but when they get their time or their spot to do whatever they're going to do, like Ishida just delivers. Like his cast of characters, so good.
110%. Yeah, there's it has a full cast that's amazing. Like I love every single person right now. I couldn't tell you a character where I'm like I don't know why this person is in the story. Even the people that
Facts.
are brought up that like are brought up as just clearly side characters that are meant to be
The
annoying
Smith
like
brothers, or whatever
dude
their name is.
the Michael and Michelle or
Hmm.
Michelangelo like dude yeah
The
like
Momo, she's super like adorable, but she's like this like you know tank that has to be restrained, or she'll like just break her shit.
Oh, Momoma,
This,
yeah, dude.
yeah,
She
like
has that moment
there's
against ICE or
ice.
whatever in the last fucking battle. Yeah, that's super. I also love that he gives like almost everybody their proper moment. Usually, he's not
The
afraid.
sword Chojin, like
Simon, love
he's
Simon.
yes, he's really one. I think he has one of the coolest entrance scenes or like introduction
Yes.
scenes in all of manga. Like bro just pulls like his wrist out with the tattoo and summons the sword. And
He has so much
the
aura, you think he's a main character, and he's just not. He's just not at all. Even his full backstory. His backstory is what main characters are made of, and he's just like, yeah, he's not that important. At least right now. It might
and
show up
the
later with the sword children stuff, but
Yeah, I'm about to say the other sword Chojin like all fuck with Sato, and it makes me like makes me kind of worried for him that like he might get influenced, you know, because he's kind of a blank canvas. Like it does seem like you know he obviously warmed up to Tokyo now, you know, and Azuma like helping them through their problems, and you know his characterization has been slow, but we don't really like he plays a part and has all like the the bad boy look, the edgy look. He's the quiet, dark one, mysterious, and his backstory also plays into the new A and the sword Trojan and all that were important in the war. So he has enough lore to where like he could come on at any time and be like way more prominent,
literally.
or he could just do his thing, like as he's been doing, and just be, support. They're always cool. Even like that dude Ice, the chill paladin form, super cool. It's like,
Yes.
man, I just or when Tokyo got back and they were fighting like the little dwarf looking dude, I think it's like green or white, the green or white Trojan or something like that.
Oh
And it
yes,
shows
I do.
Elliot. Yeah, it's like they're just or the box Trojan. It's just goofy shit. But
I love when
you got
Ishida
someone like
gets
Ume.
dude, I love
Her
when he
st-
gets
her
into
part
like his like
fire.
American comic shit where like you can tell he just like he throws in his own personal opinions for no reason into like the side characters like when what he like the package Trojan or whatever is just like super obsessed with politics and he just fucking they
Yeah,
kill him and he's like yeah you want to do something run for office I'm like all right thanks Sui Ishida for your TED talk introducing it's just like it's funny how like he has that much freedom and you can tell like he enjoys what he's doing, right? Like, and that's what bleeds through the most with it. Every character has so much volume, has so much dimension, and has so much like love and care put into it because you can tell the creator behind it is like fully allowed to do everything that he wants, and he's not compromising on anything, which is where I think the best stories are made. Honestly, look at Hunter x Hunter. Look at this,
I
like
was just about to say that. Like this is like how Tagashi feels about Hunter. Not wanting. Even though his wife is like a talented mangaka that has her own legendary iconic series under her belt. Offered to help draw it. This is his baby. And what's real cool is I remember reading this when the first chapter dropped on release. Um, I believe there was like some mix up between him and it was like the publisher, or they thought initially that he was going to get chapters out quicker. And he's like, no, it's just like, he just shut it. Like, he's like, he had full control of like his, like, the say so of what he wanted for his, like, his, IP, his like work of art. Like, this feels like it's going to be his magnum opus. And,
Definitely.
and with Tokyo Ghoul being as good as it is, you know, it's like I love it. It's like an 8.5 for me, and there's still like a lot of like moments where you could tell like, oh, this is like his first like big serialization, uh, and then now he can like sit back and with experience and just look at things differently and take his time instead of trying to worry about like a weekly release or monthly release. It's just he's just cooking, doing his own thing. He does like
Yeah.
95% art. I think there's like a couple artists that did some background art, but he doesn't have like assistants on hand or nothing.
Yeah, he's the goat.
It's like round of applause. Like he's really got one of those things where the Tokyo Ghoul anime is so bad that people kind of just like discount him for
Yeah.
no apparent reason. And this dude is, you know, if you like consider like the trajectory he's on with Choujin X, even if he just gives us a subpar ending, this read through has just been phenomenal for me. I really I haven't read anything that really like just stuck in my head, and not many people read it. So like that's why I appreciate getting on here talking with you about it. And I only got like one other person that reads it, but it's like there's like it's a swell of emotions when that like new chapter drops. You just don't know what you're gonna get.
Literally, I completely agree, and I feel like that's like the best way to kind of end the stream. Like I I genuinely like I haven't read a story that like has like immersed me so well in a long time. Besides, like, because even Tokyo Ghoul Re, I didn't really enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed it obviously, but I didn't really kick in towards like Kokura Raid, which is like the last half of the story. And that is like, and I feel like Choujin X has just been everything that I loved about Tokyo Ghoul Re from that point on, where like the way that he's not afraid to weave the actual backstory into it, like with Queen, with Bill Morth, with Zora. He's not afraid to also show how those past events influence the world today. Like he takes time to you know develop the characters, and I can't even I can't even begin to explain like how much effort it takes to, and how much like just writing and just development you have to do to get me to a point where like you have a joke like that's in chapter 40 something, when like Tokyo buys Eli the fucking boob booster
Bra.
bra, bro, and like
Yeah.
bro, it's one of the funniest fucking things I've seen in my life. And it's not like and it's not funny because it's a boob joke. It's funny because like it's like the amount of fucking effort he's put into his characters for 40 chapters. Like you understand them at such a level that like it's just the fact that this fucking clown would do some shit like this. It's like I fully believe
Yeah.
this is a fucking scene that these characters would get into because Tokyo is a fucking moron. But
Yeah,
also
he's a
like
horny teenager.
yeah,
He's trying to
like
put Riz up Momo right before the ice fight.
bro,
He's
yeah.
literally.
Oh well,
I
yeah.
was
When
like, what the
Momo,
hell?
she's like, oh yeah, you're making a sexual harassment joke, and he's like, oh yeah, a joke.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah. It's
like
like it's
it's like
it's so
bro,
good, bro. Or like when he walks on Palma and Ellie, like they're in the taking a bath or something, or they're in the
yeah.
water, and he's like, "Oh, boob fest is already," or some shit like that. Instead of breakfast, and it's like just like those jokes are so like few and far between that it's not like this. It's not beating you over the head.
It's not like your
You
average
know
shonen fan service. It's like
exactly.
I
Not
don't
Fire Force.
Yep, I don't look at those scenes and I'm like, all right, this was put in because Ishida just wanted to like, well, sometimes, but
Yeah, that Palma
yeah,
chapter cover is devious.
I should not say every single time, but like you could tell like the character moments, like they're not just because Ishida wanted to do a boob joke or he wanted to just like have some fan service moment. Like it's clearly like it's hard to explain to two grown men talking about it, but like I promise you, like it's so human. It's so, what's the word I'm looking? Natural is the word I'm looking for. Like
Yeah,
this,
I think
the
he's just
scenes,
those are
everything
character
feels natural.
moments
Yeah,
that feel organic. Like this is how
exactly.
this, and it's like just a good way to come across like oh, in this like dark moment of like they're about to go and deal with the Carabao 16 or whatever, the poppy fields.
Yep.
Oh, we're gonna Tokyo just happens to stumble on the girls and taking a bath in the river or whatever. And like it's something he would do because we know he's like a little pervy, horny teenager, but he's not like pervy in the sense of actually doing anything. He's awkward and
He's just
he's just a
awkward. He's just
teenager.
weird. Yeah, he's just a
And
teenage boy that gets no cheeks, literally.
I literally, before we wrap up, one thing that we didn't talk about, but the number one thing with this story, I think Ishida does the best at is presentation. Like, man, the way he delivers some of these panels, he has like one chapter with I think like 10 spreads in it or something like that.
It's crazy.
It's insane that like he just has this like vision. His vision's impeccable and he sees it through. It's like Fujimoto is really good about like delivering like these cinematic like feeling moments in manga, very movie-esque. And then Ishida is just like the only person that I really could put above Ishida with like presentate art presentation in manga would be like Inoue with Vagabond, most likely. And that's like tells you a lot, because like that dude's always like praised. But
Yeah.
Ishida's really like the art in this is just crazy good. Like we talked about Simon's introduction to the series. Just how cool it is to like deliver a side character like this. It's that dude just has that like knack for like knowing the medium.
Oh yeah, dude. It's funny because I made that video of just like trying to recommend people onto Choujin X recently, and I got a comment that was like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, I couldn't get into Choujin mid X because, to be honest with you, I have a high standard for art, and the art was just terrible." And I was like, "I know you did not read Choujin X if that's the complaint that you have for this series."
You saying some shit like that, you probably didn't brush your teeth either. Like you
Like
talking
it
about
was
you have a
the
high standard. You ain't
that
got a
was
high standard for
cracking me
nothing.
up when it was like I have a high standard for art and Choujin X just doesn't meet it. I'm like, all right, bro, if you say
And
so.
they got a Baruto profile picture or some
Yes,
shit.
dude, that's what I mean, dude. It's like, come on, man. Like, even if you want to be
Yeah.
like, oh, like there's better artists than Sui Ishida, like that's not even the argument that I would make. But there's no way you can look at, like you said, some of the double spreads that this man cooks up himself with no assistance and be like, doesn't pass the smell check, the smell test. Sorry, smells like shit to
Yeah.
me. Like, it's just like, come
And
on, dude.
yeah, it's subjective, sure, but there's a certain like threshold to that to where you got to be like if you look at Berserk and you say the art is trash, like you probably like you
Yeah.
might be blind, literally.
Like you could say like you don't like this, you don't like the characters, you don't like the way that the
Yeah,
story's fucking paced, you don't like the kind of ink the man uses, but
yeah. Even though
yeah.
it's technically still subjective, but there's like a definitely like a throttle that you have to like kind of check in at, and I can see why people may not like this story, but it's not like you're asking people read 50 chapters, read 70 chapters.
Right?
Like
Yeah,
read
exactly.
20 chapters. Like One Piece don't get good. Well, I mean, for a long, long time, if you ask me, but like that shit don't get good to like, maybe 40 chapters in Nami's part. But and so it's like, why not like, you know, why not just like try to
Yeah.
view this
You
with like,
deserve to get to you deserve to get yourself up to the when they all get to Zora's tower for the first time.
yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like that is
that's
deserved.
and Ume's fight with like Azuma, especially like that part, I was like, oh shit.
I
Like
believe you kicked me in the face, and she fucking cooks his ass like right after. Next time you see Azuma, Tokyo's like, bleh, it throws up because he's
dude,
literally in pieces.
yeah, that part was like that was what got me into Choujin X like fully down. 'Cause I was like, whoa, Azuma's like, so maybe he is a dog, and then he just gets cooked, and it's like this reality check. But then it's like these people are like clicking out on each other, like one's crashing out, then another person crashes out, and it's like Tokyo's there, is the one left, basically like the dog, like the one left standing, throughout that whole thing. And we talked about Ozma earlier, but like that part, if you don't even at least get to that part, because
Yeah,
like the part where Ume smiles and her face is shown for the, it's
yeah.
it's just crazy,
That
man.
is
Presentation, but
that is like when Choujin X kicks off for sure. For
yeah,
sure.
man.
You gotta meet my boy. I don't even remember his name, the Dread Choujin. Just a chill guy. Just caught
Oh
up
yeah,
in the
that dude.
nonsense.
Yeah, that dude really. He was like offering a Tokyo pizza. He's like, "This is just a job, man."
He's like,
Like,
yeah, man. He's like, hey, look, I sell people for a living. It is what it is. No hard feelings.
want
I'll
a slice
take
of
you on a
pizza?
dog's last day. We can get some pizza, we can get some
Yeah,
ice
that's
cream.
funny.
All right. But guys, thank you everyone who popped in. Appreciate you. Like we said earlier, Choujin X isn't really, that crazy popular, but it's the fact that we can get some people together, talk about it a little bit is more than any of us can ask for. I appreciate it. I'm sure Tiberius appreciates it.
Oh, facts. Always a
Um,
good time coming on.
Hell yeah. I will try and see if we can do this again. Maybe next chapter or whatever. I'll try and stay up to the chapters. Can't always promise it because sometimes they just pop in the worst possible
Dude,
moments like it did last
yeah,
time in between
we
Modulo
got
and season 3 dropping.
yeah, we got I mean, I know how it is. We both like grown men, real life priorities and stuff. So anytime you want to have me on, bro, just hit me up. But don't ever feel like pressured or anything like that.
Oh, I'm pressured. No, I'm just kidding. No, I appreciate you always stopping by. I appreciate you. Everyone,
Yeah, man.
follow and subscribe to Tiberius. His channel is in the title. Do you have anything that you want to promote or bring up before we call it?
I do have Kagurabachi fans. I do run a Kagurabachi podcast called the Hishaku Hideout with my boy Dice. Noah, we do have to get you on. We're about to start doing a couple guest episodes in the coming weeks. So I'd like to have
Ayo.
you on that.
Of
Because that's
course.
he Hokazone's been cooking with that,
Yes, he
and
has. Yes, he
then
has. And I'll put the link in
and
the
I'll probably
chat.
appreciate you, and I'll probably be dropping like a Tanjiro video about him being one of the better depictions of the good boy MC in Shonen. But
All
other than
right.
that, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Sick, man. Thank you. No, anytime, anytime. Guys, everyone have a good night. Thank you very much. Hit that like button on your way out.
All right, guys. Peace.